Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the WPAMA. This is a weekly series hosted by WP Buffs. My name is Allie Nimmons, and I'm going to be your host for today. In case you don't know, this is a weekly roundup where we ask questions about a specific topic, collect your questions, and then sit down with a really cool person to answer them in a live format. If you're just tuning in and have questions that you weren't able to submit beforehand, please leave them in the chat. And if we have time, we'll get to those questions. We do have a random giveaway at the end of every episode, so make sure you stick around until the end to hear about that. We pick those winners from people who have registered at WP Buffs slash WP-AMA series. So if you're not already registered for that, go ahead and pop your email in there and you might win something in a future episode. This episode is going to be available to watch here on YouTube. If you miss any portion, if you have to step away and you want to watch it again later, totally fine. And captions will be included on the video within 24 hours for those of you who might want or need them. So this week, answering questions about branding, both personal and professional, is David Yarde. Hi, David.
Howdy, how's it going?
Pretty good. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm happy that this worked out and we're able to sit down and talk.
Yes, should be fun times.
Absolutely. Before we dive into the questions, maybe tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, what it is that you do, what you specialize in, all that good stuff.
Ooh, so now I pretty much help people translate all the cool creative ideas out of their head into either a communications design space, technology space, or some sort of brand strategy space. Uh, Before all of that, I was a humble little designer, just kind of heads down, hoodie up, having fun, doing cool things, and then transitioned into development. Fell in love with the whole WordPress community, and yeah, kind of just kept going ever since. I mean, once you're in, you can't really get out. So, um, other than that, these days I'm also a parent to a tiny human, or co-creator to a tiny human. Um, yeah, there's a lot. I guess at the end of the day, I just find myself being curious about things, and next thing you know, I'm studying something about something I have no business doing. So here we are.
Fantastic. I love it. Well, I've met your tiny human and your co-creator, and I think both are fantastic people. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, thank you.
Um, Alrighty, so let's go ahead and dive into these questions. We have these user submitted questions that have been sent in to us over the past week. And so yeah, let's just dive into the first one. First question, how do you decide what your top priorities are for branding? And are there any high importance items that everyone should prioritize?
Hmm. So that's a good question. And it really depends on what stage you are in your brand.
Mhm.
When you're first starting out, your top priorities should be making sure that all your processes are in place, all your business things are solid. If you're, onboarding users kind of in that traction building stage, like you want to
Mhm.
be sure that you're paying attention to, of course, your customer service process. So I'd really say it really depends on where you are in that journey. And at basic, I would say what it is that you value. Or the best question to ask at any stage of that process is, um, what do you want your customer, your person that's consuming your thing, to leave with after they've engaged with you? Do
Mhm.
you want them to, have a better ability to, make documents easier to manage, or do you want them to have the ability to quickly, be able to store information to impact, a project that they're working on?
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I like that question. Like, all right, so actually, let's start at the beginning one. In the
Okay.
beginning, right? Because
Mhm.
this is the number one pet peeve I feel like I have with people who are building brands. And also where I'm most impressed with like people who are building a company. The
Mhm.
first part is like most people throw everything at the wall, or like spaghetti on the wall approach. I'm going to spray and pray that this works, right? I'm going to get a website, I'm going to get business cards, I'm going to get a social media banner, I'm going to run ads, and it's all like this disjointed thing. And then they're like, nothing's working. Social media doesn't work, ads doesn't work. They have five different strategy people doing things, all of them, trying to be the chief person doing everything in the space, and no one's communicating. No one has I would say, cohesive view of what's happening. So in the beginning of your brand, establish what your vision is. What is your purpose? Why are you here? And number one, two, like, why should people care that you're here? Um, I mean, it's great to build a product or idea because someone gassed us up and was like, oh, you know what? You should do that thing. And it's like, yeah, I am going to do the thing. And then, those people turn around to not be the ones that buy the thing because they were just there for that emotional or moral support. So I think in the beginning, knowing what your brand purpose is about, knowing who you're ideally trying to help with this product or service. And the third part, like, how do you want them to leave after they've engaged with your product or service?
Mhm.
Um, and then once you have that and you have a few people that are on board and doing cool things and you're building traction and have a nice, recurring revenue going, you now want to look at, are my systems supporting this growth? Are they able to scale during this time? Do I have the right people helping me out? Am I delegating in the right areas?
Mhm.
Am I still adhering to my original brand purpose and vision and mission as I'm adding new features, taking in feedback, and all that stuff?
Mhm.
And then when you reach that really huge stage where you're talking like, 30 odd people on your team. Your company may span multiple states, it may be even around the world. Now you really want to make sure that communication is your top priority, right?
Mhm.
Like the people who are on the front lines of that, all the way up to the people who are in the boardroom, they should have an equal amount of, I would say, influence on the decision that's being made, because the person at the front lines has a lot that they're seeing, that they're handling, and the person in the boardroom has that 1,000-foot view or 50,000-foot view that kind of guides the path of what's going along. So
Mhm.
communicating, this is what we stand for, this is what we believe. If we're putting out an ad to say that we believe in this thing, are we doing it internally?
Mhm.
And I think that's where you see a lot of internal strife with companies and their employees, where it's like, wow, you guys made an ad about that? Like, okay, cool. It's not happening here. And next thing you know, you see this Twitter stream and it goes viral. And now you have a problem in your hand that you could have avoided.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, that was a pretty nice question. I like that one. So, yeah, it really
Cool.
depends. But communication, processes, that kind of thing would be your top two pick.
I love it. Yeah. Great answer for a great question. So the next one, and I feel like we can really, I love the when people submit kind of general questions because I feel like you can just cover the gambit with it. So the next question that
Yeah.
came in was, why is branding important? I feel like you kind of touched on that. You named a lot of things that are important, like why am I here? What do I value? What do I want people to take away? But they kind of supplemented that question with, why is branding important? Is it mainly because of getting a good first impression? So I guess maybe we can think about that question in terms of like, um, to what degree does making that first impression count for why branding is so important?
That okay. So I have kind of like that little sarcastic response. Um, why is wearing clean clothes when you go out with your friends important? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are numerous reasons why. You'd be like, all right, dude, like you want people to be comfortable around you. You want people to trust you a little bit. But I mean, the best way to really explain it would be is like, why do we need food? Why do we need air? Um, and scaling all of that back, branding is really just character, right? What
Mm-hmm.
is your character?
Wow.
In a business sense, it's what is the soul or character of that business that you are showing in the way you deliver your products, your services, your advertising, how you hire people. Like, how are you doing that? And so, I mean, branding has kind of gotten that fun buzzword play, I think you could say, where people look at it and it's like, oh yeah, I'm branding, and they slap together a logo, some colors, and be like, cool, I have a brand. No, you have a lookbook, essentially, a pretty nice lookbook of things that could be. But if you go back to when we were in those small communal towns and people like branded their product, it was usually like applied by high pressure, high heat. It was usually on cattle or something, imprinted into a person's mind if we really
Mm-hmm.
abstract it away. And so if you look at the popular brands now, like Apple, you're like, wow, they should be a market leader because this is what they've done. This is what
Mm-hmm.
they've brought to market. And so when you think about that, even to a kid, it's like, oh yeah, they make my iPad, they make my thing that I do Zoom on. All right. Like there's always an association. And so the easiest way to explain why is a brand important, what do you want people to remember? And what is that reference that you want them to go back to when they're remembering that thing? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll never forget, there was a campaign for Avis Budget Group that I was working on at a company where I was. And every single image we submitted got rejected for this campaign. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, are you serious? Like, the campaign is summer fun and adventure. We're
Mm-hmm.
showing people going canoeing. We're showing people going this. We're showing people doing that. Why are they all getting, rejected? And when it came down to it, it was because we didn't really look at what the brand really stood for. We were showing people doing everything else, but, maybe doing it in a vehicle that they rented, right? Like, yeah, now
Mm-hmm.
they have the canoe, but the canoe is in the back of a vehicle that they actually have, not just
Mm-hmm.
any vehicle that's driving down the road. And those little nuances in branding, it's like it's an expectation. Because if I see a person pulling a canoe out of a Lexus and I pull up to a Avis Budget, place, and it's like, you don't have any, Lexus on this lot, that's a broken brand promise, right? Right off the bat. I'm like, you guys suck. When they're just like, we're giving you the vehicle to get you on the adventure. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's funny how we don't realize how easily programmable we are,
Mm-hmm.
especially when we repeatedly see an image or a video or hear a sound or smell something, right? Um, like realtors are always known for having cookies baking in the house to give you that homey feel. Like those are
Mm-hmm.
all essence and parts of brand. And so I think when you say what is the purpose, or again, going back to like, what do you want them to leave that experience with? Um, that's ultimately where you start. And also pair it with what do you value? What do you stand for?
Mm-hmm.
Are you just going to allow any little thing to kind of pass through, or are you going to actually do things that go to the promise that you made to the consumer? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind
And
of
what I get out of that too is like, so many times in our lives as consumers, we have to like compare brands to decide like, okay, am I going to go with this company or that company? Am I going to walk into this store or that store? And if you don't have a brand or if it was forgettable, they're going to remember the
yeah,
one that they remember, right? So I mean, if you want to funnel it into the sales perspective, right? You
yep,
want to stick in someone's brain and you want to be that one that they always go to because like, oh yeah, I love that commercial or I love that,
yep,
whatever branding it was you put out. So yeah,
exactly.
I like thinking about it like that too.
Yeah.
So they had also asked within that question, like, I guess, where does that first impression come in? Because obviously a first impression is important, but to me, thinking about it as a consumer, I feel like sometimes I might have a first impression of a brand and it might change. Or, I might have a certain first impression and see a change in branding or something about the branding later on that changes my impression. So how important do you feel like that first impression might be? Or is it important?
Um, it is important. However, we're often known for misjudging first impressions.
Mm-hmm.
um, Especially when you look at brands that may be dealing with a lot of social impact causes, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, they have this thing, and I think I forgot what ad thing it was, like the Integral Ad Society or something like that. They basically had this whole propaganda workshop about how matters that are around social issues are negative to certain audiences, when the reality was that it just made people feel uncomfortable. They didn't know
Mm-hmm.
how to process that feeling. And so they were blocking, up to about $3 billion from actually reaching advertising space just because of actions like that. And
Yeah.
so when you start to look at the power that, we wield as a creative, as a brand or anything, that first impression, it starts with whoever funds or, founded the company. What is your first impression of this, right? Are you proud enough of this thing? When you see it floating around in the world or get featured somewhere, are you like, yeah, the work that I did here, it didn't take shortcuts, it did things the right way.
Mhm.
Um, then we start delving into the ethics of branding, which is also another fun area. Most people, and at least the people that I've interacted with and stories that I've heard, it's like their first impression of someone was from someone else. And they were like,
Mm.
yeah, this person is good. And so you start to realize like that first impression that you have when you show up initially, it may get transpired into a story to someone else. And they'll be
Mhm.
like, that person showed up wearing like this weird tutu on his head, and I just have no idea what was going on, right? And you're memorable. Now you're the tutu guy, and now you're just like, what's happening, right? Um, or, there's like a magician that I met, and everyone was like, that's the weirdest magician I've ever met. And I was like, wait, why is a magician at a business function, number one? And so you have all these different things that could happen and leave behind a first impression that can
Mhm.
either make a person laugh, have a story to share, or now you're like, wow, I need something different for my business event or workshop. I'm thinking about that, business musician, because for whatever reason, that's a correlation I keep getting when I think about random things in business, right? Um, and so, yeah, the first impression, when you first unbox something, when you first look at a phone, how take something and look at a book, for instance, like all of these different things are what we first start to look at to put it into what box we want to engage with it in. And then after there, it's kind of like as we get to know it, as we, consume more of that content, like, diving into that sales funnel side that you mentioned. Now we start to see here's how, if I'm going to actively, advocate for this, put my dollars behind this, where I believe in it to the point where it's like I could become an advocate for this, I could
Mm.
do other things with it. Um, so yeah, first impressions, they matter quite a bit, but at the same time, they really don't. Because the flip side of it is someone can get a first impression of you based on a 10-second clip or 30-second clip that left out the whole context of who you actually were. And
Mhm.
so that's where the consistency of branding over time, I feel like, comes in, where people can see, like, yeah, that person has always been talking about, diversity and inclusion. They've always been talking about, social impact or climate change or whatever the case is.
Mhm.
Or if they make a change, you can start to see, oh, maybe they got information that they're supporting this thing in a positive light, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I feel like the best advice would be to think about it and try to present your best foot forward. But at the same time, um, don't let too much of everybody else's opinion cloud out the beauty and good that you're trying to bring to the world, right? Like,
Absolutely.
that's it. Yeah.
Beautiful. So as you were talking there, we do have a comment that came in from Trey Tibbs that says, "Hey guys, shout out to David the Batman." So
Hey.
our friend Trey says hi. All right, let's go into the next question. When you have a personal brand, do you have
Mhm.
some go to resources to learn more about how to keep your personal brand on brand? Are there any top tips to follow for consistency for your personal brand? So I really like this question
Ooh.
because I remember when I was first starting out and I had to like launch a personal brand, I didn't have like a whole set of resources, like a whole company to like establish all of this branding and all of this consistency. So what are some go-to resources that you can recommend for keeping yourself on brand and keeping like that consistency within a smaller personal brand?
So, all right. So this is story time, ladies and gentlemen. Um,
Buckle in.
so when I first started, I think personal branding, it was at that point where it was still like a joke, where people were like, "Oh, it's another buzzword that we're introducing to the world." And I'll
Mm-hmm.
never forget, and I should have put money down on it because I wasn't really a betting person in that sense. But I should have put money down because I bet you in 18 months, this is going to be the top focus everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And literally 18 months of the day, because I'm a petty person, I set an alarm, whatever news article about personal branding appeared, I would send it to them. And I did. And the top article was personal branding and its importance. And I was like, oh, okay. And in that moment, I beat myself up because it was like, oh, I could have been writing about this. I could have been talking about this. I could have been doing all of this fun stuff ahead of it. And so I think for me, it was like I found, and well, jumping forward to now, I ended up creating like a whole brand framework around it to keep myself on track. And then friends started asking, well, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm doing this thing over here. And then after a while, it got a name, and people started actually paying money to do this thing. And I was like, hold on a second. But here's the gist of it. And I'm actually going to drop a freebie for everyone after as well. And then an extra freebie on Friday because, I'm feeling generous. Um, and so the whole concept is this. As an individual, we have communities that we're a part of, right? Communities that fuel our creativity, our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations. And then we also have our skill sets and focus areas that we also do things in. But in the mix of that, we often forget who we are, right? We try to abide by the title in that community or in that industry that, push us forward.
Mm-hmm.
But when we start tapping into that, lovable core of things, and we find that, hey, this is what I enjoy. Like for me, writing is my jam. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people think it's designing. No, it's not. Like it's literally just sitting here and writing, like, oh, okay, here's a formula for something. Here's a concept for a screenplay that may never see the light of day, but who knows, right? But here are all the things in my creative backlog that I'm just pulling from. And it allows me to say, if I'm wanting, and then I guess this ties into your goals. If I want to be, a person that changes how branding is perceived on a personal level, how it's perceived when it bridges over into a professional level, well, am I taking that medicine myself? And so I think when it comes down to like your personal brand and staying on track with it is like, what are your foundational values for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to be more of a person that practices empathy? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, what are the areas that you commonly are in? What are the areas that you enjoy being in? All right, you're a programmer. All right, you have reached that point in your career where, dev relations may be a good fit for you, where you're able to be that bridging empathy, right? um, you're still staying on brand, but I mean, it really comes down to what are your goals, right? What do you really want to achieve? Um, and a lot more deeper than that, because goals could be very selfish if you look at it. What is the mark that you want to leave on the world, right? If you were viewing yourself at your own funeral right now, what are the things you would hope people would say about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the most common things I have all my clients do is to write a eulogy, and they look at me kind of weird, where they're like, "Whoa,
Wow.
trying to like, kill me or something?" I'm like, "No." What I'm trying to do is put into perspective that one life is short. We all have a finite amount of time. And the weird, messed up part of that equation is we don't know when that end could be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you go to bed and you wake up and you're like, oh, yeah, I could do it tomorrow. It's like you're saying to yourself and you're saying to life, I have this goal, I have this dream, but you know what? It's okay. I'm going to put it off because I'll have another chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so staying on goal or on task is like, well, what is the mark that I'm looking to leave?
Mm-hmm.
And how deeply am I willing to dedicate myself to making sure that that thing is, followed through? I may not complete everything, but I may be the catalyst for someone else to pick the baton up and complete that dream, right?
Yeah.
And then this is where community comes into play because you realize that you're not alone with your ideas, your goals, or any of that stuff. You have the ability to create change everywhere you go. Um, and when you find other people who have that similar mindset, whether it's supporting or opposing, you start to realize that there really comes down to having two sides of the coin and a lot of people who are able to see on the edge of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the important thing is like, how is that person using that foresight of knowledge in balancing that coin? Are they balancing it towards evil or towards good? Evil people don't sleep. I'm not sure if anyone's aware of this, but like they're not sleeping. They're knocking back Red Bulls, Monsters, and coffee like it's nothing. Adderall, whatever. It's there. They have it. It's going. Why are we stopping at that point where it's like, oh, this is good enough?
Mm-hmm.
We're patting ourselves on the back and saying, all right, this is as far as I'm going to go. I'm going to get to this goal eventually one day. Um, and so, yeah, staying on track, I feel like, is developing that personal rhythm with yourself. What are the things that you're, able to show up for on a regular basis? Are you able to show up and drop a 30-second clip on Instagram every day? Do that, right? Do you have ideas that you could drop into that 30 seconds? Do that. See something that you could react to with your industry experience? Do that thing. Write it out. Do a podcast. Do something. Even if it's just taking a picture and dropping a caption of it. Like platform tools at this day and age allow you to share in a way where it doesn't necessarily require a full production team. It just requires you to consistently show up around that thing that you enjoy sharing with the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, just do the thing. Don't be
Just do
afraid
the
to get
thing.
a couple scars along the way. Like that's actually the whole fun part of it.
I love
Sharing
it.
those scars. So yeah.
Nice. Alrighty, so the next question.
Mhm.
So they ask, how can branding be improved? And I think that seems like a very subjective thing, So maybe we want to look at it from, if I'm looking to improve my branding, if something's not working, if I'm not feeling good about it, maybe what can I look at? Where can I start to figure out what it is I need to improve and that I can move forward outside of hiring a professional like yourself?
So when we look at a relationship, right? Any sort of
Mm-hmm.
relationship, and we're like, something needs to be improved. What
Mm-hmm.
is that feeling that we generally have, right? Like there's a bunch of things wrong. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that touches on our earlier question of like priorities and things in branding, where it's like, what stage are you at in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, are you at that new stage where you're trying to build awareness around your brand and you're struggling with it? Then maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's time to look at, am I showing up in the areas that would help me? Am I posting somewhere? Am I running ads towards a proper audience? Do I even have a strategy or idea of who I'm trying to reach and able to talk the language and meet them somewhere in their customer journey of solving that problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the next part to that would be like, what are you overthinking? Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you feel like something's wrong in your brand, it could be a paranoia that you have, and it could be on one of two sides. The paranoia could come from your intuition actually saying, yeah, something isn't wrong, it's not right. And if you've been looking at, your brand promise, your values, that kind of a thing, or your mission, you kind of could see where you drifted away from that. And
Mm-hmm.
so it really depends on where you are. But mostly, I would say look at yeah, this is a good part. If you've been setting goals and if you've been doing things where it's like, I'm doing a retrospective
Mm-hmm.
weekly, this is what I was able to accomplish, you will know the areas that you need to improve.
Yeah.
If you're having those sit downs with your employees, if you're, talking with your vendors and seeing where the relationship is going, you'll know where things need to improve.
Yeah.
Um, but for some reason, when that question first popped into my mind, it reminded me of something I was thinking about probably earlier this week, where I was like, branding actually sucks right now. Um, like it is the most clinical, robotical, ego-driven thing that I've ever seen, where it's like,
Wow.
oh, I need to be this sort of a person and showing that I'm making, this amount of money. Like
Mm-hmm.
some of the best brands in the world probably run record losses year over year, and they're still hitting their mission and their target
Yeah.
and providing an ecosystem for so many other people to thrive because of the nature of their industry. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's where you also kind of see that small-minded thinking when you look at some brand strategists and we're like, oh yeah, this is what you need to be doing. You need to be showing like this, or that. No, you need to be lovable. Like literally just be lovable. Like REI, the outdoor brand that goes up against like Dick's Sporting Goods and what is that other one? Gosh, I can't even remember. Academy Sports, right? That's
Hmm.
another, right? So back in the day when I was growing up, we simply had Sports Authority, and that was
Hmm.
the jam. And that was like the brand that everybody went to for some reason. Like they had a cool name. They seemed to be the authority on sports, right?
Hmm.
And then they kind of faded, and you had these newer brands come in, and you look at REI, and they take their social impact to a whole new level where it's like
Hmm.
Black Friday, don't come to our stores, go outside, spend some time with your family. I'm curious to see how they do that during this whole COVID time, right? But at the same time, they've always found a way to be relevant to the market during that particular time that they're like advertising. And so, I mean, it just really comes down to knowing where you are, what your missions are as a brand, who you're serving, and how you want them to leave after they've engaged with you at pretty much every point of the journey. And it's overwhelming and it sucks, but I think being lovable and finding the ways where if a person's coming to you with a question, yeah, I could sell them the kitchen sink. But I want to know, well, what are you exactly trying to accomplish by asking me this question, right?
Hmm.
And this is a pretty common one for developers. Someone's like, hey, I need to build a website. I got you. I could build a site. Let's go. All right. I have the skills, no doubt about it. But then they're like, well, what are you trying to truly accomplish with this site? Well, I'm trying to build a site for my book. I have one coming out. I have, two more in the pipeline with a deal from my publisher. And I'm passionate about talking about mindfulness and how it relates to raising kids and being a parent. Cool. Now, with that story, I can say, here's where your brand should focus. Where have you been talking about things? Let's, grab that down, put that into like a nice little file or folder somewhere. We have a catalog of all your content.
Hmm.
Now we know what we're building, how we're building it, who we're building it for, and how those people will possibly use that thing that we're building.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, then you could dive down into fun features like let's set up a pre-order page that will link into your sales funnel and marketing strategy. So people can, start putting their money where their mouth is and not just say, oh, I'm going to buy it. But yeah, when this book is ready, charge this card, right?
Yeah.
Boom. Now you're validating the idea to say, oh, okay, 300 people have pre-ordered this book.
Hmm.
You walk into any publisher and they're like, well, how much are you selling the book for? Well, I'm selling the book for, let's say, 15 bucks. All right, 300 by this amount for this small brand. Wow, you've been actually doing some work. You have a process, you have, a platform, you have something that we can work with. All
Hmm.
right, well, here's a deal. Here's what we'll do for you. Boom, boom, boom. Versus, oh, I have an idea for a book. I need to get a website, business cards, set up my Facebook page, do all this stuff. Concentrated, lovable, intentional effort, and you're good. That's kind of how I see all the great brands do it. So,
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen you post about that before. I love the word lovable in the way that you use it. Like it definitely evokes a feeling and it makes me think of like the brands that I love, like the brand that you're going to recommend to all of your friends, the brand that you're going to be loyal to. It's
mhm,
the brand that you love. And
exactly.
yeah, I think people don't they think about, well, like how can I create this funnel or this pipeline or like push people toward an end goal, where it's like if they just love you, you don't have like you should still think about those things, but like you don't have to force it. They love you, they're going to support you, you know.
Touching on that too, like this is where like lean startup and that mythology was really great because you focus all of that love and attention into one product that got people to know what you were about
Yeah.
and the problem that you solved. And then you do that repeatedly and they're going to start telling other people. And now you don't have to pay that much for advertising, right? Um, I mean, you still do depending on what you're doing, but the effort that you're using in your advertising is a whole lot different in comparison to like using it as a cornerstone strategy to try and building an entire brand. Um, so yeah. Hmm.
Love it. Awesome. Let's go into question number 5. So we did kind of answer this one, so maybe we can figure out a way to kind of twist it and get some more information out of it. So the question is, when planning out your branding, how and where do I start, right? So we've touched on that multiple times, talking about, sitting down, figuring out your values, what you stand for, what you want people to remember and leave with, et cetera, et cetera. Let's maybe move then to the next part. So you've established all of those things. You've established your goals as far as your values and all of that. What is then the next thing that you want to set up and do?
Ooh, so now you want to look at how is all of that tying into your processes, right? Do you have a way to continuously build on that relationship with your, people, like a CRM tool, customer relationship management tool? Do you have a way to consistently talk with them, let's say weekly? Maybe looking into setting up a newsletter if that's like, a thing that you can provide value through. Um, I think from there, it's really diving more into the strategic side of things. Like, where do you want this brand to be 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? What are the long-term goals that you really have geared into it? And if we dive down from that 30,000-foot view down to, 10,000, what are some of the things that we need to get there? Do we need to develop content that showcases our thought leadership around this? Do we need to create, products or services that could fill the gaps where we can't always do the one-to-one? If we're doing a SaaS product, are we looking at the information we're getting back from our early users? Like all that little feedback, all that stuff. What part in the brand, again, are you and what information are you using or have access to? A more established brand will be able to look and say, well, level up our brand or push things to the next level. When was the last time we did take a look at our mission and our values and our purpose? Do they relate to where we are? Or do they relate to the products and things that we want to push out to the world? The products that we have existing, how can we make them better? How can we probably develop something that would put ourselves out of business to keep ourselves in business? Yeah, and you look at it from a different angle each and every time to say, how am I serving the individuals that show up, both as employees, as customers? How am I serving the communities that I'm in? And I think this is one big area that 90% of brands fail in, is that they are more than willing to grab, any sort of tax break or leverage in an area to set up shop. But when it comes back to giving to that community, most times they, oh, why would I do that? Oh, but yes, please give me the free parking, the coffee shops, the scooters, all the cool stuff. But yeah, I don't care that there are people on the side of the street that actually would probably make a really great project manager if they had the chance, or a really great designer, right? But that kind of comes down to the personal biases that we hold, really and truly. And how willing we are to kind of step outside of our own comfort zone and connect with someone. But then if we do, how do we even get support to take it to that next level? And so when we start looking at that layer of tech and business and branding, you realize that the whole pipeline is really broken. There's no way for us to sustainably do these things. And then you have people who may be good at it suffering from burnout.
Yeah.
And so, going back to it, it's like, what stage of the brand am I in? What is the thing that I'm really trying to improve? Is it my customer, experience? Is it my employee experience, my vendor experience? What is it that I'm trying to do? And then what stage of the process am I in? Someone new may not have a whole list of vendors to work with. So now they're looking at, how do I assemble a vendor list? And now you can look and say, well, who are the people that I'm trying to serve and who I could best serve with having these types of vendors? For me, serving people with creative ideas, hopes, and dreams, intellectual property makes sense, right? Having someone in finance makes sense. Having a team or community of developers and designers that I can reach out to, that makes sense. And so hanging out where that scene is that makes sense for your business and your brand, I think is probably the best thing that you'll be able to do, because you'll know what you need to introduce, what you need to remove, what you need to do more of, what you do need to do less of. So yeah, community is a huge factor, not just to take from, but to listen to and to also give back to. Yeah.
Lovely. Awesome. All right. So the next question, question number
Mhm.
6, what would make a brand stand out? That also seems like a very generalized question. So maybe we can look at that like maybe if you're struggling to stand out against your competition, what are some ways where you can find that thing about you that makes you really special that you can use to stand out from the rest?
Ooh. All right. So how many paper towel brands can you easily remember right now?
Oh my gosh. Like 2, Brawny.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh. I can see the logo, but I'm blanking on the name because you put me on the spot. There's one that starts with a V. I can see 3 logos in my head. The only one I can think of is Brawny.
All
And
right.
I
So,
think of that because of the like lumberjack and like all of that like nonsense.
so the two that popped into my mind was Bounty and Brawny. All right.
Bounty, yeah.
And I think I know the other one that you're talking is like, is it Viva or I don't even
Something
remember
like
what it is.
now I have to Google it.
Yeah, so here's the reason behind that, right?
Yeah,
So
Viva.
Brawny, we had that big lumberjack dude with the, jingle. He would always show up or whatever. Bounty
Mm-hmm.
had that ridiculous jingle, right? For whatever reason, Bounty, the quicker picker upper. You can't like for whatever reason, you can't not even think about it, right? Now let's try this
Yeah.
again, right? Coffee brands. What are the first like two or three that pop to your mind?
I mean, Starbucks is the very
Mhm,
first one. Folgers,
mhm.
the best part of waking up. Oh, and there's the one that comes in like the black and the yellow container,
Cafe
but I can't.
Busuelo.
What was that? You broke up a little.
Cafe Busuelo. I know that's one.
Yeah,
I
I can't
think.
think of that many.
So there's Pete's Coffee, Seattle's Best,
Mm.
Dunkin' Donuts,
Oh
um,
man,
of course Starbucks, uh,
Nescafe.
Folgers, Nescafe, and it's funny because years ago, Folgers was like the top reigning person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like no matter what, it was like Folgers coffee. No matter how horrible that cup of coffee was, people were like, I have my Folgers. Like it was a
Mm-hmm.
badge of honor. And Starbucks came in and people were like, yeah, I got Dunkin' Donuts. Like, yeah, cool. The boss is trying to butter you up. Dunkin' Donuts it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then Krispy Kreme came and was like, listen, your mouth deserves better. Right? Like, and they made a whole experience around it, a very
Mm-hmm.
simple experience, but an experience nonetheless. And then Starbucks came and was like, listen, guys, I like what you guys are doing, but I want it to be even fancier, but we don't even have donuts like that, right? And so, like, you look at these different brands, they're all competing in separate but different markets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they all have a place in our minds for different occasions, different time periods, whatever, right? Getting a bunch of treats for kids I'm gonna hop up and send home to their parents, Dunkin' Donuts it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have companies like CC's Pizza where everyone notoriously takes a bunch of kids to for some reason. I don't know why. Um, Chuck E. Cheese, everyone wanted a Chuck E. Cheese birthday. I wanted a
Mm-hmm.
Discovery Zone birthday. By that time rolled around, Discovery Zone shut down. It's like, forget it. Birthdays mean nothing. Um,
Tragic.
so you look at this and you say, well, what is a thing that all of these companies have in the place in our mind, right? The fact that they're tied to an experience, right? Like
Mm.
you go out and you're like, I want to appear a certain way to these executives that I'm pitching. I'm stopping at Starbucks versus wherever. Or better yet, I'm bringing my coffee from home in a fancy mug, right? Now you're going to question where I got that coffee from. And then I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go into like how it's a blend that came from the mountains of Jamaica and, the rain clouds sprinkled lightly on it and the bees came and pollinated all the flowers around so you get the essence of like hibiscus like as you drink each cup, right? Now you have a story, you have this whole thing going through your mind where you're like, wow, what does that coffee taste like? Where do I get it? Right. And
Mm-hmm.
now instead of paying attention to the presentation, I'm thinking about how great hibiscus infused coffee probably would be. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's all related to an experience, whether a person wants to have or wants to repeat that they've already had. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Something that seems like it would give them joy, that it would give them satisfaction, contentment. It would solve a problem, right? Like super glue. That is an uncontested brand. Like you cannot be like, you know what? I'm going to do something else. Lo and behold, we have Gorilla Glue. And next thing you know, you're like, I didn't realize super glue could get any stronger. Here we are, right?
Yeah.
And so it's to gain that place in the mind, you kind of have to look, where do you fit into that lifestyle, um, that I guess routine of the person, maybe even the area the person may be in, right? Like construction people may fancy all the cool knickknacks, tapes, belts, pants that make for easy wear. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, give me a pair of sweatpants and I'm pretty chill. I don't need to leave my
Mm-hmm.
house. All right, I'm good, right?
Yeah.
And so I think when it comes to like how do you stand out, it's not about going over the top or above and beyond. Um, it's about what is the one thing that you can do or you would enjoy if someone did in that process. Then go do that thing, right? A lot of times clients enjoy working with us simply because we took the time to listen. And no matter how
Mm-hmm.
many times they were like, well, tell us this thing, we're like, you know what? Here's the truth behind that. Sure, go ahead and do it, but here's the full truth, even if it's going to cost us money. And they'll turn around and be like, wow, I didn't expect for you to answer that, knowing that it would be something that would possibly cost you money. And for that reason, I would
Mm-hmm.
like to do, not only this, but I want to also do this, this, and this. And then they
Mm-hmm.
upsell themselves, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so standing out is a lot easier than we realize. And it's just about showing up consistently. I think the easiest way I put it is show up, help out. All right. If you're showing up in an industry, help out to make it better. If you're
Yeah.
showing up at an event, show up and help out some way that you can. Say, hey, do you need help picking up some chairs? Cool. You know how many business relationships I've gotten from something simple as like picking up chairs after a meetup? Overlooked. It's just that simple. And they're like,
Yeah.
wow, do you want to speak here? Like, oh yeah, I mean, sure. I didn't think about it. That wasn't my intention. I just saw a bunch of chairs here and this organizer who put on a 2-hour event wanting to go home, struggling with a bunch of chairs, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the easiest way to stand out, if we're going to use that example, is find a way that you can remove pain or pressure point from someone's life, help them
Mm.
solve a problem. Um, Help a bunch of people solve problems.
I love that.
Solve problems for yourself and share those problems with the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And that totally hits home for me because that's part of the reason I really wanted to do this series is to, I mean, I love word camps, I love meetups, I love those sorts of environments where you're speaking and you're giving information that you have. But I love the concept of this where we're taking problems that people are actually having and addressing those concerns directly. Like that to me is like that level of going above and beyond or standing out or, from the normal typical event. And so I feel kind of
Virtual
validated because I feel
happiness
like you
bar.
validated my idea. Yeah, exactly. Virtual happiness bar, asynchronous happiness bar. All
Ah,
right. We have about 5 minutes left before we have to wrap up. So we do have one question left that came in from the chat. Who was it that asked this? Trey asked this. So in 5 minutes, Trey asks, due to our current times during this pandemic, where do you see personal and business branding going in 2021 and beyond?
ooh. All right, this is a tough one. All right, so here's how this goes. I think we're going to definitely see a lot more of the responsibility of founders, a lot
Mm,
of people who are responsible for handling data, information, and how people consume it being
Mm.
held a lot more responsible for the things that they do, the products that they bring to market. Um, and I hope so, because we're at that point where it's exhausting, right? Like you wake up and it's either you're hearing a story about someone that was overworked to the point that they burn themselves out, or a company mishandling data, or people sharing false information. You just kind of like, at what point does it stop? Is this why we started as people in technology? Is this why we wanted to build products and services? No, it's not. We wanted to connect people. We wanted to help make their lives better. And so I see hopefully more people actually standing up to the injustices of the world.
Hmm.
Um, More Batmans and Supermans of, Black Panthers of the industry really
Wonder
standing
Women.
up, especially Wonder Woman. Like, actually, that's going to be my last 3 minutes to this. Here we go.
Okay.
So, men in this industry, um, I hope to see taking a lot more of a back seat and
Mm.
supporting the female voices that are in the industry, especially in the Black community. I feel as if we're at that point where we want to show just how much of an ally that we are, that we forget who we're being an ally to.
Mm.
Um, sure, we can talk, we can share, we can do everything, but when it comes to, certain things, it's okay to literally just sit back and say, you know what, she's still talking. Um, so yeah, I hope to see over the next few years personal brands that, or I definitely see that trend of personal brands that really believe a lot more in those fundamental things of, we're all human. We should treat each
Mhm.
other with respect. We should be better individuals wherever we show up. And if we are sacrificing our voices and our beliefs for a little bit of cash, then at that point we've already sold our souls, and we could just might as well just sit down, be quiet, and shut the hell up. But if for some reason anything that goes on makes you realize that we need to push harder to make sure that the world we're handing off to the next generation in our get push to them is better, we're going to have to address those things from the side of empathy, from the side of, supporting and making sure that people feel belonging wherever we go. So yeah, I think that's kind of the future of where personal business brands and its influence is heading towards.
Lovely. I love all of that, obviously. But yeah, that's a really fantastic way of looking at it. I never particularly thought of like those sorts of issues being so closely related to the branding aspect of things. But I think you're entirely right. Like there's something to be said for like, oh, I'm gonna, change my Twitter profile photo to a black square, and all of that sort of stuff. But actually, talking the talk and walking the walk is really where it's at. And yeah, I agree. And I appreciate, as a black woman in the space, I appreciate all of that. All right, so we are coming up at the end of our session time, so we're gonna cap off there. David, thank you so much for being here, and like, just I cannot believe how much amazing information and like quotable content you've given us in this hour. If people want to learn more about you and work with you and support you, where can they find you?
On Twitter, a lot. DSMY at DSMY. Or my personal site, which I'll probably be hanging out a lot more than Facebook these days too, at
Mhm.
davidyard.com. And then my whole glorious thing that I think everyone's been enjoying and keeps prodding me to publish and push out is my lovable brands. It's kind of keep yourself on track, do all the fun stuff, help the world, do it in a lovable way. So I'll definitely be dropping more information on those, and yeah, hang out, have a chat, send me a message, send me something Batman related.
Fantastic. I love it. Well, Cool. Before we sign off, it's time to pick our random giveaway winner. This week's winner, randomly chosen from our Convert Kit list, is Krista. Yay! Congratulations, Krista. I will email you at the email address that you've provided so that you can grab your prize. The prize, I don't think I actually said, is any item you want out of the WP Buff store, store.wpbuffs.com. So anything you want. We have mugs, pants, t-shirts, fanny packs, cell phone cases, all kinds of cool stuff. All right, everyone, we will see you next week. Make sure to go to wpbuffs.com/WP-AMA-series. I'm going to put that in the chat right now so you can go ahead right directly to that link and sign up, register. It's completely free and you get early access to the next speaker. You get early access to the form to submit your questions so that you can make sure yours get answered first. And if you want to find out more about us, go to WPbuffs.com or find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, by searching for WP Buffs. We'll be there. We'll be happy to talk to you. So that is all, folks. Have a good one.